Hi, I'm GeoDev, and in this video what we're going to do is set up our weapon that I made in Blender. Well, I made in Blender, rigged it, animated it, exported it. So if you haven't seen it, then have a look at my Blender weapon videos. Well, Blender to UDK weapon videos. Now, in the best Blue Peter fashion, here's one I prepared earlier. Okay, so instead of going through everything on importing a skeletal mesh, well, importing textures, making materials, I'm sure you know all about that already. So pretty much, very quick run through. Diffuse material, normal material, specular. Very, very simple. You'll see the diffuse is a lighter version of the specular with a ambient occlusion applied on top of it. Now, if you've never done this in Blender, I'll be doing a few tips and tricks that I've learned along the way, but that's for a later date. Anyway, if you're not into Blender, fast forward. Okay, maybe not. Right, material, very simple material. Come on, here we go. Diffuse, specular, normal. Yep. Nothing fancy, no DX11, or I've not changed anything at all in there. Happy? Yeah? Go on then, let's get on with it. The mesh. Now, as you can see, I've already got the mesh imported. Yeah? But obviously, if you've never imported a skeletal mesh, you should have by now, but anyway, if you haven't, click on Import, navigate to wherever you have got your files. Now, in my case, it's computer, data, Blender, WPBC Gun. Now, if you watch the Blender videos, then you'll know that I saved these files the other day. It's the 15th, not changed it. Today is the 17th. Okay, so they're the ones that I exported. Now, I say this because I don't want you to think I'm cheating. Alright, so what we're going to do, we're going to click on that. Now, it's a PSK file. That's the proprietary file setup that Epic has used for years and years and years, and they're now dropping it in preference to FBX. Now, I personally prefer to use the PSK and PSA files because I know they work and I know how to set them up. FBX is a bit of a problem from Blender, but if you've got an FBX file, you can import it here as well. Okay, happy with that? Okay, you go import and it will come up as that. Now, I don't want the name to be Lgun Anim, I just want it to be Lgun. Now, the reason why I'm doing it sort of like not 100% this is how you do it step by step, it's because I've done all the coding. Okay, well, I won't say I've done all the coding, I've got it in game. It's not perfect, it's far from perfect. And if I now take it all out and I've got to put it all back in, it'll be yeah, a long time. Okay, so putting it onto this name will actually overwrite that file that's in there. If it's the same name and you import it, it will overwrite it. Yeah? Okay, happy? No. What do we do next? Well, once you've imported your mesh, you want to double click on it and you will get the AnimSet editor opening. Now, I know it says AnimSet editor, but we also edit the mesh here as well. Yeah? Now, let's... I'm getting that used to using the Blender controls that I'm trying to navigate within the Unreal Editor. I'm going, the mouse is not doing what I'm supposed to be. Anyway, right, with your mesh opened, yeah, make sure we've got SKWP BC link gun. Happy with that? Yes. In here, in the mesh tab, you will set the materials for your mesh. Okay, L gun, the one I just shown you. Yep, happy, smashing. Leave it at that. What else do we need to do? For weapons, the next thing you need to do once you've imported it is to apply the sockets. Now here we go, socket manager. Boom, there we go. And we've got lots of sockets on this. If you've watched my quick run through video on UDK weapons, you'll notice that I use the shock rifle code, which meant we needed to use the shock rifle sockets, and it's easier and simpler. Well, no, probably not, but to make sure we don't miss anything, I use the same names of sockets for the I'll get there eventually. The sockets for the shock rifle. Now, when I first done this mesh and brought it into UDK, I thought, yeah, we'll use the shock rifle code because it's easier. And then I thought, well, no, because everybody seems to be going on about you trying to use the link gun. So, me being brave, I thought, yeah, okay, then we'll use the link gun. And if you go into the link gun code, which you'll see in the next video, you will see these actual sockets: muzzle flash socket, muzzle flash 02, and power effect socket. Now I've added on here pod socket and MF socket. The MF socket is purely from the shock rifle code, and I put that out just out of weapons always need an MF socket, so I'll put it in there anyway. Now you can, if you wish, move these sockets around. Right. If you want to add a new socket, click add new socket, click the bone name, go OK, give it a name, my socket, and there it is at the back there, my socket. Now if I go on there, as you can see, my socket, you can move them around in there, or you can move them around in here and hit 0 and it goes back to where it was. You can also rotate it if you need, because you'll find if you add a particle effect to a socket, say you want your empty shells zipping out the side of the weapon, it's probably easier for you to rotate the socket, because particle effects, if I remember rightly, normally go on, I think, is it the x-axis? Quite possible. Anyway, what you can do is align the way things are going purely by going roll, pitch, yaw on your X, Y, and Z. Okay, happy with that? What I'm going to do is delete that socket because it's absolutely not needed. Alright, socket's done, socket's done. Anything else in here far as the mesh is concerned? That is it. Okay, because we've imported it, we've made sure when we exported we were pointing along the x-axis, Z being up, and that's the way we come in, nice and happy. Right, next bit, your AnimSet. Now you can run around with your weapon all day long and it's not going to do a great deal unless you give it some anims. Right, anims being animations, yeah. Okay, so what you want to do here is, in an empty space, right click, go to new AnimSet. Now as you can see, I've already got one made, so I'm not going to redo it. Just make a new one, give it a name, and then once you've got it here, double click on it and open it up. Now because I've already been playing around with this a fair bit, mine's already selected the weapon that I'm going to be using. If you get something, let me just like this. Well, you probably won't get that, but you'll get probably get something else. You go, oh, that's not my weapon. All you got to do is in this section here, yeah, on the mesh tab, left click on there, and then go down to the mesh you want. Now, Epic have made a very good naming convention. Well, I think it's very good. Pretty much SK for skeletal meshes, WP for weapons, and in my case I've got BC being Blender content as opposed to DavCorp, which was DC, yeah, and L-Gun being the actual gun or the mesh. So we'll click on that and we get our mesh back. Now it is important when you're importing. Oh, we got my tongue twisted. Importing animations that you have the correct mesh selected here. Yeah, because if it doesn't, when you import the animations, the editor will actually look at the bones of the animations coming in, compare it with the bones that's on the mesh that's here, and they'll go, if they don't match up, it'll go, not playing. Okay, so what do we do next? Alright, we go to animation. Now, again, make sure we have the correct. I know that's the name of my animation set. It is. God blimey. Got no sequences here, but I'll warn you now. If you've got any form of translation in your animations, that means where bits move up and forwards, backwards and forwards, side to side, you're going to have problems. But we can fix it very, very quickly. Down here, click on animation on the animation set tab, and normally what you will find is when you open it up, it'll look like this. Under AnimSet, it will state animation, anim rotation only, tick in the box. Now, if you want to read all that, fill your boots. I don't. Basically, what it means is if you have a tick in this box, it will only take the rotations of your animation, and the translations of the bones will not be used. All right. A lot of weapons will have some sort of translation, e.g. the slide coming back, or in our case, the little pod going up and down. So we'll take the tick out of that box, which means it will now take the translations. So where do we get the animations from? Well, if you go up here, under File, Import PSA. Now, I'm still using Epic's old system of skeletal mesh and animation format. If you're using FBX, then you import them with that, yeah. But I'm going to import a PSA because in a PSA I can have more than one animation. In a FBX, each file has to be, well, as far as I know, has to be a separate animation. Okay, so that's clear. Now I'm going to go on here, as you can see, 15th of the 1st, 17th of the 1st. I'm not cheating. These are the ones I exported from Blender. And straight away, imported, I've now got 5 animations: weapon alt fire, weapon equip, weapon fire, weapon idle, weapon put down. Now, if we get into a nice position, what you can do is, or I won't say what you can do, what you should be doing, is that once you've got your animations imported here, click on each one and play it. Now you can see that is playing rather fast, but we'll leave that. It's me with Blender. Alright, weapon equip. That's not bad. That's okay. I'm happy with that speed. Weapon fire. Dunk. You see the little pop there? Watch the pod. Dunk. There we go. weapon idle, play the weapon idle, bobbing up and down, yep, and the weapon put down. Now you go, hey, it's already down, yeah, because it stopped for some reason at the end of the frame, or end of the animation. Let's play it again. There we go. Up, down, happy, happy. And that is it. That's all we need to do for weapons. Oh, one thing. Right, let me just save. Don't want to forget that. Cool, blimey. I'll have problems. Right, one thing I want to mention at this time before I finish off. In my case, and in my case only, I am going to be using the same skeletal mesh of the weapon for the first and the third person mesh. Now, as you can see, it's very low poly. I've only got the 468 triangles. Yeah, your first person mesh, if you're not using arms, yeah, we'll go on to arms on a later date. If you're just having the weapon mesh only, you could easily go up to, I would say, safely 9,000 triangles, or possibly now up to around 12,000 for the first person. If you're going on to for the third person, I would try to keep it down at around 2,500 triangles. Not polygons, remember, triangles. But in my case, because it's such small size, I'm just going to use the same mesh. And as a very quick example, let's have a look at the link gun. Oh god, he did pick it, didn't he? Alright, just a very quick look here. Alright, you've got the link gun first person 1p being 4,700. But the third person version is 2,600. Have a look at the other weapons, you'll see it's very similar. Yeah. Now, if I remember rightly, the link gun was actually originally supposed to be with arms. That's why it's so low. Now, let me just have a quick look while I'm burbling. Right, let's have a look at the rocket launcher. See, rocket launcher, 5,000 in the first person, third person, it's under 2,000. If we go again in the shock rifle, now what you got to remember in these were for Unreal Tournament 3, which is going back now nearly 5 years. So when UT3 came out, so I think you've got a decent chance of bumping that up. Obviously, if you're doing content for a mobile phone thing, then I don't think you really want to go over that, to be honest. But anyway, right, I just wanted to point that out, that you should be using two different meshes for your first person and your third person. I'm not, because I'm keeping it very simple and not that good at modelling anyway. Okay, right, I think that's enough for this. AnimSet came in fine. The mesh came in fine. Don't forget your sockets. Don't forget to untick anim rotation only in the AnimSet before you import your animations. Because if you do it afterwards, it'll ask you to recompress the animations, and I don't quite think that's a very good idea. Well, you can do it, but if you can avoid it, then all it takes is one little tick. Okay? Right, we're going to leave it at that, and I'll see you soon with the coding. Oh my god. Bye bye now.